While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success. While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success. While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. For our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success. While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success.
Certificate are as follows. 1. Attend the full webinar. 2. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google attendance form. Mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. 3. Fill the questionnaire that you receive on your mail for further details. 4. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, it will be mailed to you.
While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success. While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on what is the importance of right mentorship by Mr. Shivam and Mr. Anil Sharma, who will be discussing the importance of receiving the right mentorship with us today. MentorMitr is a mentoring organization. Our aim is to guide students who are in schools and colleges, as well as working people, in goal setting, stress management, time management, enhancing emotional intelligence, and providing soft skill grooming. I'd like to introduce our speaker for the evening, Mr. Shivam. Mr. Shivam is the author of 2 self-help books, How to Unleash Your True Potential and Finding the Magic in You, and a certified emotional intelligence life coach. With a master's in aerospace engineering, Mr. Shivam has always been curious about the why of things, and he's on the journey to make people aware of their emotions and their life. Mr. Shivam, now I would like you to speak to the audience.
To yet another webinar on the topic how to find the right mentor and who actually is a good mentor for you. And before we actually jump onto the part of finding the right mentor or to be able to find someone who can guide you to do something good with your life, I think it's very much important for us to understand why do we need a mentor. Because very often in the world we're living in, we're living in the age of information, and people often have this tendency to believe that we are living in this era of Google, basically in the era of uh, endless information, endless data, endless information of everything. And in such informations, in such an age of information, it's very easy to actually find out and look for anything, to be able to find the answers of literally anything. And in that case, why do we actually need a mentor? So in this webinar, we're talking about why do we actually need a mentor, and then how and what a right mentor actually means. So I'm really glad that you all are here right now, and then we'll be talking all about mentorship and how you can be a good mentee and a good mentor. So first thing first, let's talk about the importance of finding a mentor and why do we actually need a mentor. So I'll tell you a bit of a scientific definition of a scientific reason behind finding a mentor. Because like I told you before that we often tend to believe that we have an endless amount of data, endless amount of information in front of us in the form of Google, in the form of social media, in the form of anything else. And in that case, finding a mentor, just having a mentor for ourselves doesn't really sound like a really good idea. But we actually need a mentor because it is very much dependent on how our brain functions. So in that case, I think it's very much important for you to understand the science behind how our brain is actually working, and then to find out why and how having a mentor can actually help you and help you improve your life in such a significant manner. So the first thing first, I'll tell you a bit about how our brain functions. The first thing is understanding the difference between what a logical brain is and what an emotional brain is. So our brain is basically divided into 2 different parts. First is the logical brain, other is the emotional brain. So the way our brain works, our brain actually has a way of functioning. I mean, the logical brain works in consideration with the emotional brain as well. But very often, at certain times of our lives, our emotional brain ends up dominating the complete part of our brain, complete part of our thinking. And at that point, at that stage, our logical brain shuts off. That means you might have felt that by yourself as well, that whenever you're feeling angry, for that matter, whenever you feel angry at any particular person, or when you're feeling anxious about any particular thing, you might have thought that I cannot just think of anything. I didn't want to shout at them, I didn't want to scold them, but it happened at an impulse. It happened just because couldn't even control my anger. I couldn't even control what I was saying to that particular person. Why did that happen? And even after 5 minutes of shouting at someone, even after 5 minutes of getting angry at someone, we realize our mistake. We realize that we shouldn't have shouted. So was that your fault, or was that your brain's fault? So turns out that it is actually our brain's way of functioning. That means whenever we are stuck in an emotional response, our emotional brain takes charge over our logical brain. And when that happens, whenever our emotional brain takes charge over our logical brain, that means our logical and thinking capabilities take a beat. We cannot just think straight. We cannot just make good decisions. We cannot just do things that feels right at that particular point. And that is why it's so much important to understand that our emotional brain is often taking charge of what we want to do with our lives. That means most of the decisions we make, most of the goals we pursue, and most of the things we do in life are very much emotionally driven. And when those things are emotionally driven, that means that we are always stuck in that zone of making the same mistakes over and over again, repeating the same mistakes over and over again, and not being able to get out of them. So it's very much important for us to be able to understand that, okay, this is why we actually need a mentor. Because a mentor can actually help you understand those mistakes. A mentor can actually help you understand and to be able to guide you to make better decisions in life. And how is that? You might be thinking at this particular point, how did a mentor come in between? So I'll tell you about how did a mentor come in between here. Because I think this is another thing that a lot of us experience, a lot of us face as well. That I think everyone in this world is very good at giving advices. We all are very good at giving advices. And when it comes to giving advices to our friends, to our families, and to anyone in this world, any other person in this world, we give some really amazing advices. But when it comes to actually implementing those advices on ourselves, all of us fail. That means whenever it comes to actually working out advices, to be able to understand the advices that we're thinking about ourselves, and then use and implement those advices onto ourselves, most of us have a hard time doing that. Why is that? Because even in that stage, when we are stuck in a problem, when we are stuck with that art of decision making, when we are stuck about what to do or what not to do, our brain is emotionally charged. That means if our brain is emotionally charged, we cannot think straight, we cannot make the right decisions, and hence we have a lot of trouble actually making the right decision. And this is where the mentor comes in. This is where a good mentor comes in. He would be able to guide you through it. And you are actually a good mentor by yourself. Thinking about it for an ideal case, when you're giving advices to a friend, when you're giving advices to a family or a partner, for anyone for that matter, you are actually being a mentor as well, because you are guiding them through all the logical consequences. You are guiding them through making all the right decisions, and you are just being a mentor by yourself in that particular situation. But when it comes to implementing that decision onto yourself, you have a hard time doing that. So your mentor would actually help you to be able to make right decisions for yourself as well. Because what was actually happening when you're giving advices to others, you were able to see their story, you were able to see their life story from a third person's perspective. And so when you are able to see things from a third person perspective, you wouldn't have any emotional reaction towards it, and then you'll be able to give some good advices. So when it comes to actually finding a mentor, to be able to have someone to guide you to make a good decision, or to just do good things with your life, it often comes along with the fact that they would guide you through their years of experience, through the years of learning, through their understanding of self and yourself, for that matter as well. And that understanding, that knowledge would help you to take and make very amazing decisions. So this is the science of why you actually need a mentor. Because no matter how smart we are, no matter how intelligent we are, and no matter how amazing we are, the decisions that we take for ourselves, the decisions that we think about ourselves, are very much emotionally driven. And those decisions could turn out to be emotionally biased, and they might not turn out to be the right one. And hence we always need a suggestion, we always need an advice from an expert who can guide us towards making good decisions in life. And this is why we all need a mentor in life. And this is why we all need a mentor. This is why the importance of mentor actually comes in. Now we have to talk about how and how to actually find a right mentor, and what is the actual skill set of a good mentor. And so talking about the skill set of a good mentor, we must understand that how and what is the role that a mentor basically plays. So the role of a basic mentor, the role of a mentor actually starts and begins with helping you guiding you towards making the right decisions, setting goals for yourself. Because when we talk about goals, I think we are again, when we are working on goals on our front, from our own front, we often make very long term goals. We often end up making some goals for ourselves that are a bit more unrealistic, and then at the end point of it, we have a hard time actually chasing those goals. So for example, we often end up making goals like, I want to become rich. So that could be goals for a lot of people. People have goals like, I want to become rich. So for a normal person like you want to become rich. That's a really good thing that you want to become rich, you want to become successful. But then there's a mistake with how you're actually chasing that goal. There's a small problem with how you're actually pursuing that goal. And that mentor can actually guide you towards making the right goals, towards setting up the right goals. And I'll give a very small example. I'll give you a small hint about what you can and how you can actually make the right goal. So any goal that we actually make, those goals actually have to be SMART. That means, and there's an acronym for SMART. That means that S means for specific, M means for measurable, A means for attainable, R means for reasonable, and T means for timely. That means any goal that you make in life, that has to be SMART goal. And if those goals are not SMART, you would have a hard time chasing that, and you would have a hard time achieving that. I'll give you a very small example about it. The first example is the same thing that I told you before about earning a lot of money, about being really rich. So a lot of people, I think, I've not come across a single person this world who says that I don't want to become rich, I don't want to become famous, I don't want to achieve a lot of things in life. No one says that. But very few of them actually become rich. Very few of them actually become successful. What is the difference between that? What is the difference between those kind of people and the people who actually become successful in their lives? There's a reason the difference lies in the way they are pursuing the goals. Because when you say that I want to become rich, that goal is not actually specific. You haven't mentioned how rich you want to become. Do you want to earn 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees, $2 lakh, $5 lakh, $10 lakh? You haven't mentioned that to yourself. That means until unless you have mentioned that to yourself, how would you even accomplish that? So the first rule that I mentioned about SMART goal is that specific. The goal has to be specific. And until unless your goal is not specific, you wouldn't be able to understand that and work upon it. Second thing is measurable. That means after you achieve that goal, you'll be able to understand and you'll be able to make a decision that, okay, I have finally achieved that goal. So for example, if my goal is to earn 50,000 rupees in this month, for that matter, let's say, my goal is to earn 50,000 rupees this month. So at the end of this month, I should have 50,000 rupees in my hand, and then only I can say that I have accomplished my goal. And if I don't have 50,000 rupees in my hand, that means I have not accomplished my goal. So that would be a clear distinction between achieving that goal and not achieving that goal. So we really need a clear and crisp answer about what we are trying to achieve. Again, the third part about is specific, measurable, attainable. It must be something that should be attainable by that particular point. Now, a lot of people often end up making a lot of unrealistic goals. And when you talk about unrealistic goals, it becomes really hard to actually chase that, to be able to achieve that. So that's why it's important. So that it's important first to be able to make realistic goals. And how do we actually make realistic goals? How do we know what's our reach? How do we know what are the purpose of our lives? How do we actually know that what actually lies in our limit? And this is where again the mentor comes in. A mentor would be able to understand you better. A mentor would be able to know you better, and then they can guide you towards making the right goals for yourself, rather than pushing you into unconventional boundaries, rather than pushing you into unrealistic goal patterns. So because if you're making a goal for yourself, you're working on something all by yourself, you will always have a hard time trying to understand and trying to figure out all the formalities behind it. But if you have someone who's always there to guide you, who's always there to tell and commit your mistakes, who's always there to correct your mistakes, then you'll always be able to reach that particular destination in a very fast span of time. Or else, of course, you might reach there all by yourself as well. But just imagine if you have, let's say you have traveled from part A of the city to part B of the city. And this is a very new city. This is a very new city to you. And you've just moved in this city a couple of days back. Now, if I tell you to move from one part of the city to another part of city without Google Maps, would that be easy for you? I'm sure you will have to ask a lot of people. You will have to go into some wrong roads as well. You will have to roam here and there, and then finally you will be able to reach there after wasting so lot of time. But if you had Google Maps for yourself, you would be able to check in that place for yourself, and then you'd be able to reach that particular point B in no span of time, because that would be a very easy way to deal with that particular moment. So that's what a mentor does as well. They can guide you towards making the right decision. They can guide you towards making an understanding what is right for you, what is wrong for you, and then always stay with you in the journey, and then able to correct your mistakes, to be able to understand your mistakes, to be able to understand the pace at which you're running and walking, because everyone has their own pace. And very often, if we try to push ourselves, if we try to push our limits, that might actually work against our favor. So it's important that the mentor actually understands you, the mentor actually helps you achieve that goal in a realistic manner and helps you step up in the journey of life. So that's what a mentor does, is to be able to understand you, to be able to push you into constantly making efforts and constantly making growth in life. So this is why we actually need a mentor. So another thing that a mentor can actually help you is to be always help you and push you towards having some amount of constant growth. So let's say if you're stuck in this particular part of life, you're at this particular point of life, and you want to be here, you want to get there by let's say 2 years. Now, the ideal way of moving from this part to this part by the end of 2 years would be to move like this, slowly, you have to get there, right? But very often, if you start doing a lot of mistakes, we start making a lot of mistakes, we start failing a lot, if we start having troubles with what we're doing and how we're doing things, in that case we might actually move in this manner, and it might take more than 2 or 3 or 4 years to actually get to this particular point, because we don't actually know the ways towards reaching this particular position, and then it would be really hard to be able to reach there in such a span of time. A mentor would be able to guide you, to tell you that, okay, this is something that you're making a mistake, and he would be always there to tell you that you're making the same mistake again, you're constantly repeating that mistake. So that guidance, that understanding from your mentor would actually help you to work on that particular part, to be able to discuss about the shortcomings, to be able to push you when you're doing good, to be able to congratulate you when you're actually doing a really good job, and to be able to push you when you're not feeling really good, when you're feeling low. So that would always serve as an act of motivation, that would always serve as an act of direction. So when you have a direction in your mind, when you have a clear purpose in your mind, you will always feel easier to walk in that direction. When you are lacking purpose, when you're lacking vision in life, you'd always feel that you're getting lost, you're just roaming directionless. So this is what a mentor can actually give you, that he can give you direction, they can give you direction, and they can give you a clear sense of purpose. Another very important thing that a mentor can give you is by helping you make the right habits. Now, I talk about this a lot of times. I talk about this a very lot of times, that humans are actually all creatures of habit. That means everything we do in life, all of those are dependent on the habits we have. And I'll give you a very small example, that when we wake up in the morning, let's say when we wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning. Now, in that case, when we wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning, we have a lot of time to actually deal with our day. We have a lot of time to work on the things that we really want in that particular day. Now, if a person wakes up at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. for that matter, wakes up very late, they wake up very late. In that case, the time span that they have for the entire day actually reduces a lot. In that case, they might want to achieve a lot of things, but they often have a hard time actually achieving that, because one of their habits, that they are staying up late and then they're waking up late, is actually pushing them into being non-productive. That means that one single habit of them waking up, staying up late in the night, is actually pushing them into being non-productive, is actually pushing them into feeling demotivated, is actually pushing them into feeling that their life is miserable. So a very small habit can have such an important judgment, can have a very important sense of direction into our head. That means it's very much important to understand that all the habits that we have, they play a very crucial role in our survival. They play a very crucial role in how we actually see ourselves. So a mentor can actually guide you into making the right habits, into understanding your bad habits as well, into understanding that why are you getting stuck in such addictive habits, into habits that are actually pulling you back, and then pushing you towards making the right habits by constantly giving you directions, by constantly telling you about the whereabouts and how to go about it. So a mentor can actually help you and make some really good habits, and that would be a great way to actually live your life with a clear purpose of mind. So these are some of the things what a mentor can actually give you. And before we just end this session, let me talk a bit about how can you become the right mentee, and what can you expect from a right mentor. So if you're a mentee and if you're looking for a mentor, there are a few things that you must keep in mind. There are a few pointers that you must always keep in mind, that if you want to become a good mentee, if you want to actually make the most out of becoming a mentee, there are a few things that you should actually keep in mind. The first thing is that you must be open-minded. That means you must be clearly open-minded about whatever the person is saying. Be open-minded towards their judgment. Be open-minded towards what they are saying you, what they are advising, and what are the suggestions they are trying to give you. So because if you don't have an open mind, you'd always end up criticizing that particular person. You would always end up criticizing your mentor, and you'd always end up believing that you're not doing me any good. Having an open mind would actually help you towards seeing all the things with better clarity, better purpose, and better sense. So having an open mind is a very, very important skill set that you must always have. The second thing that we and mentee should have should be that they must be reluctant to grow. That means that a mentee should have a clear purpose in their mind, and that should be guided by the mentor, but they should be reluctant to grow in their own life. They should be reluctant to know that I am constantly moving ahead in life, and I should be constantly moving ahead in life, and I should be achieving this or that. And that clear purpose, that clear direction is very much important for you to actually succeed. Third thing that a mentee should have should be the ability to take criticism in a positive manner. Because when you have a mentor, there would be certain times in life when they would want to criticize you, and they would want to point out the mistakes that you might be doing, so that you're able to correct them, so that you're able to grow through them. And there would be times when you'll be getting some good points as well, but there would be times when you're getting bad points as well. And then you should be able to take all the negative, all the criticism in a very positive manner, because those pointers would actually help you grow in a much better manner. Because we already have a good points, but when we understand the things that are pulling us back, those are the things that can actually help us grow in a very exponential manner. So those are very important parts. The fourth important part of being a mentee is that they should be able to communicate openly. That means if you have any struggles, if you have any problems, you have any way of getting the direction, you should be able to understand that. You should be able to make better judgments and be able to communicate about your own needs. So if you're able to communicate about your own needs to your mentor, they would be able to guide you in a much better manner. So that is what you should do. Be very open towards communicating to your mentor as well. And then work for your vision. That means that you must be able to understand your vision through the help of a mentor, to be able to work on your vision through some short-term and long-term goals. So this is what you need to do as a mentee, and that should actually help you towards actually making the most of that mentorship session. Now, if you are looking for a mentor, here are some qualities that an ideal mentor should actually have, and what you can expect from a good mentor as well. So a mentor would constantly push you towards doing really good, and they would always serve as a constant source of motivation. That means a mentor would always push you towards doing good. They would always remind you about your values. They would always remind you towards and remind you about your vision, and that would always act as a motivation for you. So a mentor would always make you feel motivated, would always make you feel excited about working on your goals. And even if you are not feeling excited, even if you're not feeling motivated, they would remind you about the goal that you're pursuing, about the vision that you're pursuing, and then they would always make you feel cheered about that. Second part about being a good mentor. Actually, the quality of a good mentor is that they should be giving some positive criticism. Now, I told you that a mentee should be able to take criticism in a positive manner, but it also depends on the mentor as well, because a mentor should be able to communicate their shortcomings or communicate about the criticism in a positive manner. Because if you talk to someone with a very harsh way of mind, a very harsh state of words, in that case, anyone is bound to feel bad about it. But any criticism is given in a very positive manner that can actually push the person into doing and making the right decisions. So it's important that right mentor would be able to give you some criticism in a very positive manner. The third thing is that a good mentor would actually boost the mentee for their achievements. That means they would always push you towards feeling good about your achievements and feeling good about your life. The fourth thing is that they should be a bit good communicator. That means should be able to communicate with you in a very effective manner, in a very efficient manner, and then talk about your shortcomings, talk about what's going wrong, talk about what's being good, and so that they can actually change their plans, they can actually work upon the plans so that it turns out to be the best effective way of dealing with them. The last thing is that the mentor should actually be open to new ideas. Now that we have talked about this idea of mentor and mentorship a lot of us might be thinking that mentor is someone here and mentee is somewhere here. And this is absolutely wrong. So when I told you that why you actually need a mentor is because our brain tends to be emotional at times, and hence we are not able to make right decisions that are for ourselves. That means that when you're not actually worse than your mentor. You're not actually having a less experience than you mentor. It only means that your mentor and you basically mentee are both standing in this particular position. That means your mentor should be able to learn at the same time when you're learning as well. That means with each of your experience, with each of your learning, your mentor is learning too. And your mentor is a student of life as well. That means they should be reluctant to learn. They should be reluctant to learn new things about you. They should be reluctant to learn new things about their and your life as well. So this is what good mentor actually means, to be able to understand things, to be able to guide and push you towards making the right decisions, and then doing things in a very, very effective manner. So these are certain ways, these are certain things that a good mentor definitely possesses, and that would definitely help a lot of people into choosing the right mentorship for themselves. And personally, when I talk about my personal experience as a mentor, so I am an emotional intelligence life coach, and I deal with a lot of people. I deal with a lot of clients who have a trouble understanding their emotions, who have a trouble understanding the past traumas, who have a lot of trouble understanding how to make sense of their patterns. So as a person, as a mentor, if you ask me what are the qualities that you actually learn from them, what are the qualities that you are actually possessing as a mentor, for me, I think for a mentor, it's very important as a mentor, when I'm actually practicing counseling, when I'm practicing coaching, I actually try to emphasize a lot on listening, because when I'm able to listen well, I would be able to give them good pointers. I would be able to give them good knowledge about how they can improve themselves. And if I'm not able to listen well, if I'm not able to listen to what they have to say, I would constantly be repeating about what I have to say. And that would not be a very effective way of communication. So I think personally, I believe listening is a very important part when it comes to mentorship, both for the mentor and for the mentee as well. So personally, when I talk about emotionally intelligence life coaching, I talk a lot about emotions, the science of emotions, and how we can work upon changing our patterns and working on our core beliefs. So these are certain things that I definitely work upon. And if you're looking forward to watch some of my videos or follow up or watch out for more content of mine, you can definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. It's by the name Shivam Now. You can search for it on YouTube at the rate Shivam Now, or on Instagram, or any other social media for that matter. And you can read my 2 books as well. So this is all about it, and I hope you like this webinar, and I really hope that it turned out to be a bit worthy. It turned out to be a bit of a guiding session for you. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Mr. Shivam, for sharing your knowledge with us. The audience will definitely be able to give a more informed thought to this subject after listening to the talk. Sorry? I would now like to repeat the steps to raise the e-certificate before moving on to the next speaker. Attend the full webinar. Once you see "Thank you" displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google Attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. Fill the questionnaire that you receive on your mail for further details. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, an e-certificate will automatically be mailed to you. Now, a short video will be played to you with the mentor.
This is the MentorMitr Android application. This is the sign up screen where we ask for the basic details, including the category in which a particular user lies in: school student, college student, parent, mentor, working professional. This is the home page. After logging in, put ourselves, our focus areas. We give an animation video explaining our methodology. Going to the no more page, we tell about the various categories we serve for: the school students, college students, and working professionals, and what we have to offer for them. Then we have the testimonials. This is the navigation bar on the home screen where I can access the join us page for the people who wish to work with us. About us page where we tell about ourselves. Mentors page where we give the mentor info, all the mentors who are there to support you. Then we have a questionnaire. It is free of cost to fill for everyone, and they get a free assessment report based on this directly on their mail IDs. Webinar video has our webinar clips. We do a weekly webinar on one or the other life skill. This is the programs page where I can access university program or working professional program. If I go to university program, I can see the program and the features for the university students. For example, I wish to enroll in the 3-month program. I can apply a promo code here promo code has been applied and rupees 1000 has been deducted. Now I can pay for the program. Once I have paid for the program, this is the kind of dashboard I have for myself. These are the features which I get: the questionnaire with a free assessment report, a time tracker to track my time. This is to be filled one time. Then a priority index to be filled one time before the mentoring session.
The second speaker for this session is an engineer, MBA, and has 25 plus years experience of corporate in leadership positions. He strongly believes that life skills, EQ, not just IQ, and knowledge of self-management needs to be learned, which requires the right mentorship and training. The same should be done in one's life sooner than on a job for lasting success and happiness. Viewers.
Hi, this is Anil as introduced. I must thank Shivam for a wonderful talk. I hope it helps all of you. And I mean, it's good to see somebody as young as Shivam and as focused and as clear as what he talks about. Thank you, Shivam, once again. Little about mentoring from my side. I mean, what a mentor would be. A mentor, who's a mentor and why mentoring? What is mentoring about? A mentor is someone who knows the way, shows the way, goes the way with you in direction of your goal. What does this mean? It means that, a mentor is qualified to be a mentor if he knows where he has to take you. But he knows he's either been through that path or he's helped so many people already go through the path so that you can be sure that he can lead you. And not only that he's gone to the path, he the path, walk with you through the path and make sure that you move in direction of your goal. Now, what could that goal be? Well, that depends upon where you are in life. If you're a student, your goal could be immediate exam. If you're a university student, it could be orienting your career either in direction of academics which you have chosen or the deviation which you make. If you're a working professional, it could be, I mean, what should be your next career move? Why? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Are you happy with what you are doing? And not only that, mentor helps you take to your goal. Mentors also help you find what your right goal is. And they can deliberate with you options. They can help you identify what more you can do, prioritize your activities, prioritize your thinking in direction of your goal. And so a mentoring is a wholesome thing. And we often mislead ourselves thinking or taking a casual advice to mentoring. And I'll talk about it in the next slide. And what could be the outcome of right mentoring? Outcome of right mentoring could be that your ability is enhanced. But if you're already good at something, you optimize that potential. For example, if you're a very good chartered accountant, for example, or you're a very good executive who's got stagnant but has the ability and he's not able to crack the code why, then your mentor can help you enhance. One, two, capacity. Help you do more within you with your time and resources and manage that better, whether you're a student or you're a working professional. So what is it? What capacity for a student, for example? It is that you're thinking that in X number of hours, you can only do this much. Well, that is a thinking. So first, it's to expand your thinking, and two, then to help you method, some processes with which you can do more things in the same time, horizontally or vertically. Enhance your self-esteem. it is said that thoughts become things because you don't think right about yourself. Uh, so what happens? Wrong thoughts come, and those thoughts become things. So a mentor also helps you stay afloat on at a high esteem and really help you realize your true potential, which you cannot realize yourself. Why? Because you are into it. You are emotionally into your situation, and your mentor is not. And why mentoring is a specific, specialized, skillful task, I'll just talk about it next slide, which is how is mentoring taken generally. So who mentors you? So we take teachers, for example, for mentoring, or tutors or coaching institutes who teach us. And teachers or what should I say, lecturers or anybody who is in the profession of providing education culturally are respected. So they get on a higher pedestal to coach you. While their specialization is academics, uh, mentoring you through the life skill or your capacity or capability beyond that academic part of the puzzle may not be there very well equipped. Well, some teachers turned out to be developed in more than one faculty. So some of them are, but don't mistake it for every teacher. For example, advice from parents. I think parents have best interest of a child at their heart, but you may be pursuing a goal which is very different from their own understanding of the subject matter. So when I was young, I mean, every parent wanted their child to be a doctor or an engineer. Sometimes your parents' profession also affects what profession you choose, and they want you to do that while you may not be, and you will not realize when you are a kid. And I'm sure people in today's world, they are more aware that there are other choices, like you yourself are. Still, because they're emotionally attached with you, the advice may not be rational, not because it's a bad advice, it's a good advice. It is a very well meaning advice, but it is not an expert advice based on a method of your evaluation. Some parents, again, like some teachers, may be very good at knowing the process, and they could, but yet you cannot mistaken it for. Then casual advice from friends. I mean, your friends are, you think sometimes they're better than you, sometimes they think that you are better than them, and both of you are true. But friends could not be also, I mean, taken for a professional advice all the time. They will always think well of you. Of course, they are emotionally attached to you. And same thing as it happens. And there are other people, like in family, there is somebody who's respected a lot, so you may choose him for advice. And I'm not saying all these advices are wrong. I mean, that is how advices have been taken, and that is how a lot of careers are also shaped. But that was when amateurs took over the mentoring and counseling part. So I would say that as the options are becoming more, as the world is opening, we know more, the people who advise us know more. We need to know method. We need to know, because your advice to you decides your life and your career. So if you count on that advice, I mean, it is no harm to make sure that you take it from right source, and right source is somebody who could analyze you. So that's why I say it's not enough that this friendly advice or this well-meaning advice. So why don't people take mentoring, professional mentoring from outside other than coaching, academic coaching, for example? I feel that it is a developing subject. And in Western world, in US, in some of the Western world, it started early. So there are more mentors. But in our part of the world, Asia particularly, it is a evolving concept. And not many of pupil or students or working executives or people generally in need of mentoring uh, do not know where they can go for mentoring. So that is one reason that so you take advice from wherever it comes and work on that advice, and sometimes you advise yourself, no, this is right. At times I feel if you do that, it's still better, because then you have to take responsibility. Sometimes things will go right and sometimes they will wrong. You will get enough chance in life at whatever age you are to correct yourself. So that's another way. So what happens when you take a well-meaning advice, when you take an emotional advice and you take it emotionally? What happens? You pick wrong goals. You prepare using wrong methods and end up doing things. So I meet a lot of university students who in their third year or second year itself have decided they already made a wrong choice. So they're now trying to correct it. And honestly, it's not less number, it's majority. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of students. And working professionals, after 5-7 years of work, either they're very happy and they're growing or they're not thinking too much. That means probably they are in the space where they should be. But majority regrets that it would have been better if they made a different choice. And that's why I feel that professional mentoring from right source is very, very important. What is the process of mentoring? So I think keep beginning with an end in mind. It's very important that a mentor has a particular mentee in mind while talking to them and customize their goals very, very clearly, which is done through a structured process of evaluating one's strengths and development areas clearly through a structured process. So there are certain tests, there are different methods, and that it is applied, and quantitative, qualitative, psychometry can also your own aptitude or your lifestyle or the way you manage your time, mapping all that. Then letting mentee know his options and also accept and also prepare mentee that success and failure are not opposite but part of the journey. So for a reasonable success, you need to fail X number of times. Even if you chose a right goal, you're getting right mentoring, and there is 1 year between your next goal and you, chances are half the time you'll be making mistakes. It's fine. And there will be failure. There will be less marks. You'll not be scoring as much. And if you are a working executive, maybe you've not overcome your personal issues dealing with your own emotions and or reacting to a particular situation. So I mean, that may appear to be a failure on that day. The next day could be good. So it's good to go through the path, and then mentor leads you. Devise a process to reach the goal step by step. Okay, so I mean, I remember as I talked this about goals, and so there was a saint who was a guru, who was a coach, a mentor, and there was a mentee. They were both going near the river, and this guy was the guru was going towards the river, and this guy asked, "What is the most important thing in life?" And he said, as he said, Guru started walking into the river. And he says, I'm asking you something. You're quiet and you're moving to the river. Why? Just tell me, what is the most important thing in life? And they keep moving. The water comes to their chest. And suddenly, Guru picks him from his head and puts into the water. And when he was about to cough and he felt he's going away, he takes him out. He said, now you know what is most important thing in life itself. And it's good to stay afloat. Another story comes to me that, okay, how can a mentor affect one person at a time maybe. So there was another group, a mentor moving around, again around a river. And suddenly, in fact, this was a sea. Suddenly a tide came and lot of fishes came on the coast, and water went back and they were left there. So what Guru does, he picks a fish, throws it back into the sea. Then he goes further, picks another fish, throws it back into the sea. Then picks another, and then this guy asks, what are you doing? There are thousands of fishes outside. How many you can help? And then he says, he picks the next one and he raises his hand and throws it back and says, it makes difference to this one. So also, while going through a mentor-mentee relationship, it's important to understand that, you can save yourself and you can help others. And if you are a mentor, you can help one at a time, maybe, or maybe many at a time, one by one. So Guru also helps you process. One, set right goals, reach out to you, devise a process to reach the goal step by step. And then put a mechanism in place that you check what is happening. You set this goal, you're doing something before, now what you are doing, that things will change. Because it's also said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, not producing different results. So if it depends what you want, pleasing results or pleasing methods. So going through a process of mentoring as a mentee is also, what should I say? It's also like a work. It's a lot of work on yourself, taking accountability. And a right mentor will challenge you when sometimes to get best out of you, and also put you in a difficult situation, and you may not like that situation. And for best outcomes, as I said, mentee need to have and a buy-in of advice. So, well, a mentor-mentee relationship is a relationship of trust. So, one, you should be sure that whom you are going to. Two, once you get an advice, discuss. If you disagree to some points, but agree to what you have to work together. And then know the difficulties of the path and know that there are a few things you cannot avoid and do the work. Be accountable. I feel that one big challenge is accountability. I was mentoring a executive, and she wanted me to. She'd been ranting about things not happening in her life, at her home, and I gave her a book to read. And I'd done that book myself. So I was very sure the effect it can have. And I told her, do this book 28 days. This is a 28-day exercise. This is the first part of your mentoring. Once you are done, then we will start working further, because I thought there were major attitudinal issues. And I could not address it face to face, because then I could offend somebody. And it has been 2 years, she's not come back. So she's not done what was required to be done. And I did check up a couple of times, tried to encourage her. And fortunately, unfortunately, as a mentor, you also start thinking that, okay, you also look for right people. And it is said, when mentee is ready, or when student is ready, teacher appears. When mentee is ready, mentor appears. And it's vice versa. When mentor is ready, right, students appear. So many came after her, and they benefited from what we could discuss, talk, work together. And have a solution-oriented mind. I mean, it's good to find problems. It's good to have questions, but not an attitude of asking questions all the time and question everything which comes your way, which is new, which is different, which you don't think you've been doing, or it is not your comfort zone, because until you come out of it, the success is away. So these are some, I thought some, what should I say, serendipities of doing mentoring and receiving mentoring and making mentoring a quality process. And sometimes in student life or working life, we pay less respect to mentoring. I think sports people, because competition is very strong, very stiff. Think of any football team, a global club, which Manchester United or Barcelona. So if you think, I mean, there are 20, 30 players playing for that club, and football is played in more than 100 countries. What do you think? How many people get in there in those top 5, 10 clubs in the world? Very few, right? Out of 7 billion people, only maybe 300, 400 people can reach their true potential. They value every bit of mentoring because they decided their life depends upon it, and they need to acquire skills which so they become superhuman beings. So me and you don't have to become superhuman beings, but we have to chisel a bit ourselves, work on ourselves, work with our mentors, accept that you need mentoring, and then mentor will appear. So it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I'd love to take them. Thank you.
The needs, the demands, and the wants of their mentee, and then design their program, design their development scheme in order to suit their mentee. Because if a single plan, if a single way of working is worked upon, developed upon each of their mentees, it might not work in a very efficient manner. And hence, mentors should be able to understand the mentee in a very much efficient manner. And for that to happen, communication has to play a very important role. I have always stressed upon the impact and the importance of communication, of a good double-sided communication, because it actually teaches both people. It teaches the mentor, it teaches the mentee as well. And hence it is so much important that we actually understand that, we actually work upon that, so that we are able to communicate about the needs, about our wants, and then work upon what we really want from it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sharma, would you like to give your thoughts on this as well?
So you asked how a teacher can be good mentor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So, I'll explain it this way. A teacher is a subject matter expert in a subject, right? A mentor is a subject matter expert in art of mentoring or science of mentoring, right? So if a teacher decides to be a mentor, it's not his or her entitlement to become a mentor. He has to decide to be a mentor and acquire those skills which are different, normally different skills of a teacher. And I think Shivam covered just now how the communication should be. Even when Shivam he said that one of the skills which a teacher particularly has to enhance is listening, because normal teacher student interface is teacher talks and students listen. In case of mentoring, it is actually more of listening that a mentor has to do than talking. It's just one of the skills, I mean. Then there is a whole process which a teacher or anybody who wants to practice mentoring has to go through, right, which a few of the points were covered in the talk of Shivam, as well as when I talked right from what the goals should be and the whole process. So that whole process has to be understood by a person wanting to become a mentor and also become an expert on that. And for that is they have to upgrade their skills. They have to map first those skill set gap and then go and acquire those skills. I hope that answers you. Sure.
Yes, sir. The next question we have is, what is the different coaching? Mr. Sharma, would you like to address this?
Okay, so if I have to give a simple example of difference between a mentor and a coach, I can give it from a coaching institute or a school, right, where you are kind of engaged for X number of hours and somebody keeps working with you on that. When it is mentoring, I would say there is a defined task which is to be done. a defined goal, which is why that mentoring is taken, whether it is performance optimization, whether it is achieving ultimate goal in life, whether it is achieving a particular goal in a defined frame of time. You define that, and then you and mentor counsels, and you do your work. So I would say, as far as mentor is concerned, he fills in the gaps. He counsels for that particular task or that behavioral change or that attitudinal change or that skill set development, which has been identified between mentor and mentee. You can keep a distance, and then mentee has to take far more accountability, because a lot of mentoring is a one-to-one process. So I would say, in terms of physical time, a mentor might end up spending less time with you, but you take more responsibility. Shivam?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think you have covered most of the points that covers the difference between a mentor and a coach. But I would just like to add on a few more points that I believe mentoring is more about developing on a personal note, or basically guiding you towards developing on your personal development. But when it comes to actually coaching, it's something that is very much driven on the idea of your performance incredibility, your performance, the idea of boosting your performance. So coaching is very much dependent on the idea of boosting the way you work, boosting the way you work in a particular field. That's more about coaching. Mentoring is more about shaping your entire perspective, shaping your entire personality development. So that is one thing. Another thing is that coaching is very much specific. It is very much specific on a particular thing. For example, if you want to be coached about emotional intelligence, for that matter, so the coach will definitely help you towards understanding, to work on those particular parts, while a mentor would actually cover all the aspects of your life, would be able to guide you through all the different aspects, and then tell you about and talk to you about various ways you can actually work on your personal development. And again, a coach is very much professionally inclined towards their own idea about the things they have been coaching at, and a mentor is actually someone who's an expert. Like Mr. Randy has been talking about the idea of being an expert and actually having the resources and the knowledge to be actually imparting that wisdom. So a mentor is someone who's an expert of that particular topic, and then he can actually work upon that. So these are some of the basic things that I wanted to add.
Thank you. The questions are very well answered. The next question is, how can we take constructive criticism from our mentors in a positive manner and not get discouraged by it? Would you like to address this?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's not only about the mentor thing. I think we all have a very hard time actually listening to criticism. I mean, be it from a mentor, be it from your teachers, be it from our parents, or be it from our friends. We always have a hard, and it's something. It always happens to us because we often have a very strong belief system, dependent on our thoughts, dependent on our actions, and depending on the way we think. That is everything that we actually believe in, every perception that we have, that is very much dependent on our belief system. And when someone comes along and tells us that our belief system is wrong, tells us that the way we are thinking is wrong, that actually raises a question mark on our entire life, the entire perception of life. So that makes us go into the whole bias thing about feeling that we are very much into a threat mode, where people are actually threatening me for my life, where people are actually threatening me for believing in what I'm really believing. So it's important for us to be able to mindful. I think mindfulness plays a very important role to be able to see and listen to things in a much more clarified manner. Because when you have the habit of practicing mindfulness, you'll be able to understand that people are actually saying things because they are coming from their own beliefs. Now, my belief and their beliefs would be very much different. So when you talk about a mentor as well, they are talking from their own belief system, they are talking from their own experiences, and they might have a much more experienced system, much more experienced learning. So they have a certain way of looking at things which you cannot at this particular point. The position you are in right now, your mentor has already passed and traveled that path. That means he or she basically knows the problems that you are going to face. He or she might know the issues that you're going to face at that moment, and they might give you a much better perspective at it. So try to see it from a different perspective, like imagining it from a broader perspective. So when we are constantly criticized about a particular thing, and when we are constantly we constantly feel that we're being judged and we're constantly being held low for a particular reason. Just try to understand and just try to see things from a much larger perspective, from a much broader perspective, and that would actually help you a lot absorbing things and understanding things from their perspective, and then actually implementing those things in your life. Because criticism is that, like I told in the presentation as well, that criticism is something that actually help us grow. And because we all have we all have our good things, but when we have the ability to listen to our bad points, listen to our flaws, that is the point where we actually start growing. So it's very much important part.
Mr. Sharma, would you like to address this question as well?
Yeah, I mean, I did mention in my talk, do you want pleasing methods or do you want pleasing results, right? So, I mean, the very reason you will need a mentor is to know both sides of you, right, as well as wrong. So, obviously, when you are in you have a development area and somebody is working on you, rest assured you will be chiseled, you will be cheesed off few times. And if you, the question was that how do you take that positive criticism? Look, you have to enhance your listening first, so that it can go in. And that's why I feel in a mentor-mentee relationship, it's very important that you set your tasks or goals or the whole process with a complete buy-in from both sides right in the beginning, which means that both of you agree that there is a need to enhance a particular area or a wholesome a behavioral pattern or the way you deal with the situation. Now, this itself, I mean, mentoring, that itself would mean that you will be hurt every time you are criticized. And I would say it's for your good. You get hurt, but then your coach or your mentor rather will do it to challenge you to get best out of you because he's figured out that it works with you. If you are a person who only thrives on positive words and right encouragement and all, you have some bit of failure, scope of failure in you. And that will be overcome by making you stronger. And you have to embrace criticism. That's what, because you need to begin with an end in mind. And as long as that is clear, I think this is a part of the process. As I said, in your journey of a goal or any improvement, failure is equal time, equal number of times as success. And that's why you become the person you want to become.
Thank you, sir. Very well put. The next question we have is, can someone from a different field than mine be a suitable mentor to me? Mr. Sharma, would you like to address this?
I mean, honestly, I feel it is actually beneficial. If your mentor is from a different field, it is better because they should know the process. They should have done it many times, or they should have the credibility to do it, which comes with certification, with the right organization or the right person. As long as that is there, if you honestly ask me, if your mentor is from a different background, he does not have your background's bias. Because if say, for example, I'm an engineer, and if my mentor is an engineer too, and I'm a supply chain guy traditionally, got into mentoring, and he also is from the same field. He knows all the problems and why I am having those problems, and also constraints that those cannot be solved, maybe. So that's a same background. Now, I'm not saying that it is definitely a constraint. I'm answering that can you have a mentor from another field? Yeah, I mean, if somebody reaches a position to mentor you really, actually his background won't matter. It can be from your background. I would prefer a mentor who comes from another background because he looks at me very rationally, objectively, and works in the area which we decided, irrespective of mine or his or her background. And I've had a mentor myself welcome it. I mean, embrace it, welcome it, celebrate it. That's what I would say. Shivam, what would you say?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I think I completely agree with what you said. The point about emotional bias coming into picture and I think that's a very natural phenomena for anyone to happen. So if I'm an engineer, I would definitely have a certain bias towards engineering. I would have certain bias towards that field of engineering I am in. I would want you to do things in a certain manner because I have learned in that particular manner. So I think if you have a mentor from a different field, that could actually guide you towards looking at things from a very different perspective and analyzing things from a very different perspective. From a very rational perspective for that matter as well. And yes, like Mr. Anil said, has the right credibility, they have the right expertise, knowledge, and the habit of and the practice of actually mentoring a lot of people, because it might be a bit difficult for a beginner to actually start mentoring someone from they might do it in a much efficient manner.
Thank you, sir. Those were the last of the questions. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Thank you, Mr. Shivam, for answering those questions. I hope the audience are satisfied with the answers and have learned quite some information here today. Before wrapping up the session, I would like to repeat the steps to avail the e-certificate. 1. Attend the full webinar. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google attendance form in the chat box. 3. 4. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above an e-certificate will automatically be mailed to you. You can contact us through any of the above with your questions. And to all the participants who have joined.
Hi, Shivam. Very good session. Honestly, to come up to